We're going to get started with 5.1 in polynomials and understanding the different types of polynomials and the rules of polynomials. First, what you're going to want to do is pause the camera or pause the video so that you can take the notes on types of polynomials. Before you pause, understand that a monomial is one term, right? Mono. Binomial, two terms. Trinomial, three terms, and any of those expressions that have more than three terms would just be called polynomials. So the types of polynomials are monomial, binomial, trinomial, polynomial. Go ahead and pause the video. Now that you've taken the notes on types of polynomials, let's take a look at the rules for anything to be even considered as a polynomial. The exponents must be whole numbers. So what that means is there's no negative exponents. Whole numbers, right? Those are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. You can't have any variables in the exponents either. Go ahead and pause the video so you take these notes. And now we're going to go to the definitions. If you do not know these definitions, it will be a struggle for this unit. So I highly recommend making flashcards. Polynomials, as we understand them, are terms that contain powers and can be separated by addition or subtraction, right? The addition and subtraction signs allow us to look at how many terms there are. This goes back to Unit 1 in terms in an expression, right? 5x plus 3y equals 10. That has 3 terms in it. Standard form is now where we're going to be working on to make sure our expressions are written with exponents of a variable decreasing from left to right. So the largest degree is going to be on the left-hand side. The smallest degree is going to be on the right-hand side. So largest, smallest. The leading coefficient is the first term in a polynomial, right? It's the coefficient of the first term once the polynomial is in standard form. So we're going to have to change it to standard form to see what the leading coefficient is. And then the degree. Now this gets a little tricky. The degree is done by terms. If it's a monomial, you take the term, you add up the exponents of the variables. Remember, there are variables that'll be there and doesn't look like they have an exponent, but they have an exponent of 1. Then you have polynomials. You have to find the degree of each term. Then figure out which one is the greatest degree. This is what allows you to put things into standard form. So we're going to do a couple of examples on this page. And we're going to work to see, are they monomials? If so, what is the degree? The first one, is it a monomial? Yes, it follows all of our rules that we wrote down. This is one term. Now for the degree, remember the definition of degree is to add up the exponents of the term. In this case, it is 5, 3, and 5. So 3 plus 5 is 8, so our degree is 8. The second one, is this a monomial? Well, it's not even a polynomial because there's a negative exponent. So we cannot do anything about it, right? There's nothing to identify here. The next one, 5. This is a monomial. We know it as a constant, but there are no variables. So the degree of this is actually 0. This is as if the variables were to a degree of 0, if there were any variables here, right? Because anything raised as our 0 exponent rule, you're going to want to look that up. We learned this last year. If you don't know it or remember it, you're going to want to look it up. 0 exponent rule is when anything raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So this equals 1, this equals 1, this equals 1. So 5 times 1 times 1 times 1 is just 5, right? So our degree is 0. This is known as a constant, right? We know this since we started any type of algebra. For the next one, yes, this is a polynomial. It's a monomial specifically, and the degree is 1. As we said, any variables that don't have a degree next to it, an exponent, the degree is 1. And the next one, it doesn't follow the rules, so this is a no. We're going to get a little bit more specific, right? First, we're going to start broad. Is it a polynomial? See if it follows the rules. Yes, this is a polynomial. The type that it is a monomial. Oops, sorry, wrong spot. The type that it is a monomial. And it says the degree, we'd learned that constants, those terms have a degree of 0. The next one, take a look at it. It's separated by an addition sign. Does it follow all the rules? It does. So we take a look at this and we notice that there are two terms here. So it is a binomial. Now this is where your degrees will come into practice. You take a look at the first term and you add up the degrees. This one has a degree of 6 because remember, any variables that don't have exponents have an exponent of 1. We take a look at this degree for this term. This has an exponent of 1, so the degree is 1. 6 is greater than 1, so the degree is 6. Go ahead and try the next one. Pause the video here. The final answer for this is yes. This is a polynomial. It is a trinomial specifically. If we look at our degree, this is a degree of 5. This is a degree of 11, right? We got to add it all up. And then this is a degree of 1. So 11 beats out and 11 wins. The next one is a no because there is a negative exponent. So it cannot be a polynomial. And the next one is a yes. This one is a degree of 6. This is the largest one. And this is just known simply as a polynomial. So the type of polynomial it is a polynomial. There are more than 3 terms here. Another part we're going to practice is putting them in standard form. Putting this in standard form means that it needs to be a polynomial. So I'm going to quickly go through these. This follows the rule of a polynomial. So does this one. See if the others do. Pause the video and see if the others do. You'll notice that this one is not a polynomial. So this one, we cannot do anything with it because there's a negative exponent. It doesn't follow the rules. But the other 4, we can definitely start to put them in standard form. We want to put the degrees from greatest to least. This is a degree of 1. This is a degree of 5. So the 2x to the 5th will come first plus 3x. And then we'll identify it. The type of polynomial it is a binomial. Now that it is in standard form, we'll be able to identify the leading coefficient, and we'll be able to look at what the degree is for this entire expression. The leading coefficient is 2. The degree is 5. So yes, this entire polynomial, the degree is 5, right? Because we look at the largest degree for the term. Then we put the next one in order. It's going to be a 3m to the 7th plus 2m to the 5th minus 5m to the 4th. This is a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 3 and a degree of 7. Go ahead and try the next 2 and then check your answers. Pause the video here. Now you're checking your answers. Take a look to see if you got them right. The next part of our lesson is going to be on the next page. We're going to look at classifying polynomials. So we classify them by number of terms and by degree. When I ask you to classify a polynomial, I'm not going to say, classify the polynomial by the terms and... No, you just need to know that it's degree and terms. For the terms, we did this. Monomial, binomial, trinomial, polynomial. So what we're adding is by degree. They have specific names. I only expect you to know up to 4. However, if you want to try and look them up and see if you can memorize even more than that, that would be great. If there is no variable, if there are no variables, it is just known as a constant. We said that the degree was 0. When that degree is 0, it's a constant. If the degree is 1, it's linear, right? Creates our straight lines. If the degree is 2, it's quadratic. It'll turn out to be a parabola, curved line. If the degree is 3, it is cubic. We won't be graphing those, but you'll be graphing them in Algebra 2. And if the degree is 4, it is quartic, 4 core, 4 core. The reason I say it that way is because many of you are going to mix up degree of 2 and degree of 4. 2 is quadratic, 4 is quartic, right? 4 rhymes with core. Don't add any extra letters, sounds, whatever the case is in there. Spelling will count. We're going to practice. Go ahead and pause these. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to take these notes before we move on to the practice. Now, underneath, the practice allows us to identify by degree and by term. Yes, the directions here say classify by degree and terms, but usually I will just write classify each polynomial, and you'll need to know what that means. Taking a look at number 1, it's a constant, and there's only one. So this is a constant monomial. Yes, we say it with a degree first. The second one, oh, hey, this is not a constant, but there is one term, so I know it's going to be a monomial. When I look at the degree, remember, exponents that do not have variables that do not have an exponent, it's an exponent of 1. So this is a linear monomial. Number 3, there are 2 terms. This has an exponent of 1, so the degree is 1. So it's a linear binomial. Go ahead and pause the video and try the next 3, and then unpause it once you want the answers. So here are the answers for numbers 1 through 6. Number 4 is quadratic trinomial. Number 5 is cubic binomial. And number 6 is quartic polynomial. So you're going to want to make sure you practice this. Even if I don't ask you to classify, you might want to just do some problems to see, can I classify these? Do I know how to? And that is the end of this lesson.